Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today's episode features a conversation with Professor Praveen Kopalle, the Signal Company's Professor of Management and Professor of Marketing at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College. Professor Kopalle has held major academic leadership roles at Tuck, including serving as Associate Dean for the MBA program and as Chair of the Marketing Area, first from 2012 to 2015 and recently from 2022 to 2025. He has also been recognized with a remarkable set of honors, including the 2024 Churchill Award for Lifetime Contribution to Marketing Research, IIM Bangalore's Distinguished Alumni Award, and the American Marketing Association's Lifetime Achievement Award in Retail and Pricing. He has received the Core Teaching Excellence Award, and he has been both a winner and runner up for awards such as John D.C. Little Best Paper Award and the Davidson Award, among others. In terms of professional service, Professor Kopale has served as Vice President of the Informed Society for Marketing Science, and he currently serves as Department Editor at the POM Journal, where he also previously served as a senior editor. He's also an associate editor at the Journal of Marketing, the Journal of Retailing, and the International Journal of Research in Marketing. And he served as an associate editor at the Journal of Consumer Research from 2014 to 2018. In addition, he currently serves or has served on the editorial review boards of Marketing Science, Journal of Marketing Research, Journal of Consumer Research, Marketing Letters, Journal of Interactive Marketing, and the International Journal of Electronic Commerce, and on the editorial advisory board of IIM Bangalore Management Review and Management and Business Review. All right. So, Professor Kopale, thanks for joining. I'm interviewing you today on behalf of the OM community that is interested in the POM special issue on generative AI and agentic AI at the operations marketing interface. We'll try to keep this to about 15 to 20 minutes. I have prepared about 8 questions to help potential authors understand what kind of questions, settings, and methods the editors are most excited to see.
Great. Thank you, Shivam. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate your help, and it's great to be here with you.
Thank you. So let's get started. First, what was the primary motivation for proposing this special issue? What changed in the world or in the research landscape that made this the right time?
Now, great question. If you look at the recent breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, that have reshaped how firms integrate operations and marketing. So, advances in Gen AI, which is basically large language models, and agentic AI, that's more autonomous and goal-directed system. They are, as we speak, transforming both customer engagement and operational execution. So Gen AI, it has a potential to enable large scale personalization, demand simulation, and content creation, whereas agentic AI moves beyond the typical passive recommendation tools like collaborative filtering that we had before to automatically interact with customers, coordinate resources in real time, make purchase decisions for them, and so on. So now, as these two technologies converge, what I find is that the traditional boundaries between operations and marketing are essentially dissolving. Firms are increasingly relying on intelligent systems to co-create with customers, optimize resource allocation, and make these cross-functional decisions. So this shift in practice raises important questions about the theory, the governance, and the practice that are at the intersection of marketing and operations. And that was like the fundamental motivation for us to go ahead with this special issue.
I think you mentioned intersection of AI marketing and operations. So what do you see as the most significant unresolved questions you hope this special issue will address?
Great. One big issue is, I don't know if you heard of it, that's the hallucination issue. If you talk to ChatGPT or anyone, it hallucinates, and to the untrained eye, it would not even be able to realize what variable is being hallucinated, leave alone the extent of hallucination. So it turns out that it's actually a very tough issue to solve. So that's one big issue. Second is how generative AI can enable real-time product customization for customers, and how agentic AI can orchestrate fulfillment strategies if a customer wants that product, like tonight. And the third is how can agentic AI leverage generative models to automatically or autonomously plan promotions, set prices, manage inventory, that really at the intersection of ops and marketing. And fourth is, how do we synthesize unstructured data like, your product reviews or logs in a chatbot with generative AI to improve operational decision making? So these are sort of, I would say, probably the, four unresolved questions that hopefully, will get addressed in the special issue.
And those are all great questions. I hope that gives a good
Thank
guidance.
you.
Also, the call for paper mentions a wide range of methodologies. Are there any particular methodologies you feel are especially well suited to tackle the topics in this special issue?
Yeah, no, I really want to emphasize, Shubham, that we welcome wide range of methodologies, including analytical modeling, empirical studies, behavioral experiments, simulations, and system design. What we like is interdisciplinary work, so we strongly encourage interdisciplinary work, and particularly co-authorship with scholars and practitioners in the Gen AI space who can bring novel operations marketing perspectives, to the table. And that's our key criteria, as opposed to a particular methodology or a set of methodologies.
Okay, I think that's one thing that aligns very well with POM journal in as well, because POM is very
Yeah.
open to all different methodologies. So I think you also welcome submissions previously reviewed at other top journals. What advice would you give to authors considering this option to ensure their manuscript is a strong fit for this special issue?
Right. So, there, as you know, there are many top journals, the acceptance rates are single digit. There's some, good quality papers get rejected there. So we don't want to miss out on the opportunity for a good, Gen AI, Agentic AI paper that right at the cusp of like reject and resubmit, or even a major revision in that journal where the author say, my God, this is like, they're raking us through the over the coals, right? So I would say to those authors three things. First, I would urge them to check out our call for papers and make sure that there is a strong fit with their manuscript and our special issue. Right? That's number one, because we don't want it to be a force fit. Second, once the fit is there, I would urge them to send us the reviews that they received from other top journals. Again, this is just to ensure that there is no fatal flaw in the manuscript, because there's no point if there's a fatal flaw. And third, is we will proactively work with the authors to bring up the manuscript to publishable quality in our special issue. The idea here is, we don't want to miss out on this opportunity of a really good, Gen AI, Agentic AI paper, perhaps, may have gotten a reject and resubmit, or a reject, or even a major revision because of a taste issue, for example.
That's very true. Sometimes good papers are missed out by top journals.
Right.
What kind of theoretical or practical contributions would make a paper stand out to the editorial team?
Great question. So now, as editorial together, we're going to ask three fundamental questions. So for papers to stand out to our editorial team, the insights have to be novel. That's number one. Second, the methodology has to be rigorous. So it's sort of like, rigor and rigor part of it. And which comes to my third point, which is, rigor and relevance, which is the results are important and relevant to the field of Gen AI. So
Okay, that
novel, then it's novel, rigorous, and relevance.
I think that's a good list to for authors to check before they plan to submit.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next question, given the rapid evolution of AI, how do you see the papers from this special issue shaping the future research agenda in this field?
I love this question. Yes, things are rapidly moving, and things have been rapidly moving right from the internet bubble in early 2000, late 1900. So what we see is, in all of these new tools and new areas, there is a timeless component for research, and there's a timely component for research. And this timely component may be going at a very, very fast phase. What we hope is that by focusing on the operations marketing interface with specific implications to operations management practice and theory in this era of intelligent systems, so our goal is to first generate timely insights for both scholars and practitioners navigating AI-driven value creation. And these timely insights may come from the timeless components of research in this area, And second, it is truly our sincere aim that the papers published in our special issue will generate further interest in the area and accordingly shape the future research agenda in the GenAI field. Again, keeping this, timeless and timely components together. And, I think that's how the research progresses.
Related to your timely insight, a pursuit to generate timely insights, I noticed in the call for papers that the timeline for this special issue is quite ambitious. Could you walk us through the review process and how the editorial team plans to ensure timely decisions? Because I believe the final decisions, you plan to give out final decisions on December 31st of this year.
I completely agree. We have an aggressive timeline. That's by design because you only mentioned it's fast paced. So we got to keep it timely. We can't let it sit there for years. So we have already begun processing the manuscripts. And the
Okay.
deadline for first round submission is June 30th, 2026. We are giving reviewers exactly 30 days to provide feedback on the manuscripts. And our goal is to make the first round decisions by August 31, 2026. And for the top papers that we want to publish, we expect the authors to complete their revision within 75 days. We're going to keep that in mind. So this way, we'll be able to make our final decisions by December 31, 2026. And so we're going to editorial team, all the guest editors, we are personally invested in it. We're involved in it. So we're going to make sure, we'll make sure that this will happen.
I think that's a great plan to publish the papers quickly so that they can start making an impact. And finally, what are some common pitfalls authors should avoid when submitting to a special issue, particularly one focused on this fast-moving topic like AI?
Great question. So the common pitfalls here, the first I'm going to mention three things or four things. The first one is, as I mentioned, read the call for papers carefully because one pitfall is submitting a paper that looks like a force fit to the special issue. Reviewers don't like that at all. And second is, having no novel findings. You don't want reviewers to say, hey, it's straightforward. I could have thought of this. What's it's very intuitive. What are the counterintuitive findings? Sort of having no novel findings. Or third is not using the state of the art methodology. We're not looking for method for the method's sake, but we want to be able to say, hey, they've used the cutting edge technology here to make their results, right? And finally, showing that that are not able to show that the findings are important and relevant to the Gen AI field. So these are the common pitfalls, and if they can go through this list of four, I think they should be in good shape.
I think okay, that's a good list for authors. And was there anything we missed that you would like to share with the authors?
I don't think so, Shivam. You've been your questions have been very comprehensive. I think we covered all the things that we should be and ought to be covering.
And that's great. Thank you so much for your time and for such a valuable insights for authors to who are planning to submit to this special issue.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I look forward to the to this podcast and where in all the places it's going to be advertised at. I'm excited about the special issue. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you so much. That brings us to the end of my conversation with Professor Praveen Kopalle. I hope this discussion gave you a clearer sense of the editorial team's version for the POMS special issue on Gen AI and Agentic AI at the operations marketing interface. And most importantly, what kinds of research questions, methods, and contributions are likely to resonate. If you're planning to submit, I would encourage you to review the call for papers and align your manuscript early around a clear mechanism and a strong interface between marketing and operations. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.